Hi, thank you all so much for coming. Thank you so much for being here. I'm Lauren Tatarsky from the Interfaith Center for Spiritual Growth, and this is Susan King from the Interfaith Roundtable of Washtenaw County, and we're so grateful that you're here with us today. And thank you everyone for all your help in making this event possible. It really was such a community effort. We come together today in solidarity, with pain, prayer, and love in our hearts, and with a commitment to stand for peace. We represent many faith traditions, many races, ethnicities, and sexual orientations. We come together to acknowledge the act of hate that occurred here last weekend when racial slurs and swastikas were spray painted at this site. We come together today knowing that just in the last few weeks, there have been 4 incidents of hate in our town. At Concordia University, where racial slurs were found spray painted, at Jewish Family Services, where a bomb threat was received, and most recently at the Arbor, which was vandalized. We come together in response to this darkness that has appeared in our very own community. We come together for our community and for communities across the country that are also witnessing the uprising and normalizing of hateful acts and messages. We come together with the acknowledgement that these events are examples of injustices that have gone on for far too long, and we join generations of those who have also stood in peaceful prayer. We know that there are so many communities living in fear today in our country: refugees, immigrants, Muslims, and we take this opportunity today to hold all of these communities in our hearts with prayers of protection and love. We come together today to show our strong and loving support for our Jewish neighbors, our Black neighbors, our LGBTQ neighbors, and all other communities threatened by these messages of hate, to ensure that they know we are their allies, their brothers and sisters, and we will not be silent when their lives and freedom are threatened. We come together today to stand firmly against hate and to remind ourselves and the world that our love will be stronger. We come to celebrate that love. We begin today with a prayer circle, an opportunity to hear words and messages from our local clergy and community members. The prayer circle will be followed by music, which will be followed by an action-oriented discussion to help us take our work today forward. I would now like to invite those who have been designated to participate in our prayer circle to come join us at the mic. And we'll have you begin your message with a quick introduction of your name and who you are representing. Thank you for being here.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Rabbi Robert Dobberson from Beth Israel Congregation here in Ann Arbor, and I want to begin by telling you how comforting, how beautiful, how supportive it feels to see so many people here today. On behalf of our community, on behalf of Beth Israel Congregation, and I know there will be others as well, on behalf of the Jewish community, but for me, I want to tell you how wonderful it is to see everybody. And thank you for coming, and thank you to Lauren, and thank you for Susan and the Interfaith Roundtable for organizing today. The scenes that we saw from Charlottesville 2 weeks ago were horrifying. The images of people carrying Nazi flags, shouting racist and anti-Semitic chants, and attacking people with such horrible acts of violence remain etched in our minds. We can't mince words, we can't equivocate, or try to explain. These acts were unspeakably horrible, they were evil, and they can't be what America or human beings are about. To some of us in the Jewish community and in other communities, as you know, these were not just horribly painful scenes, they brought back memories. Memories of recent times or of times past, of stories told by grandparents to grandchildren, of parents to children, of friends to one another. They were not novel new experiences, shockingly reflective of America in 2017. They were age-old stories of persecution and hatred. In our Jewish community, people saw these scenes and their minds flash back to the stories some have experienced, but all have been told, of what happens when hatred runs rampant. And each community which has been threatened by hatred and persecution saw these stories were created in these scenes. And then to come home to Ann Arbor, to our peaceful city, and see the racist graffiti and the swastikas sent another message, that no place is safe from hatred and bigotry. You know, it doesn't matter in the long run if these were the acts of one person or of many, if they were long planned or just impulsive. They are wrong, and we need to pay attention. And most of all, what we need to do is evidenced by what's happening here. We need to come together. We need to realize that we are all endangered by hatred. And unless we truly, sincerely look into the eyes of each and every one of our neighbors and see an equal person deserving of respect as a creation of God, hold hands with them and stand together, we will be forever trapped in a cycle of violence. In our Jewish community, we are entering into our High Holy Day season, whose central message is repentance, returning, literally in the Hebrew. A time to recognize our individual and communal failings and taking each other, ourselves, and the world to a better place. And we can only do that together. Gathering today is important, and what happens when we leave here is truly critical. Let us leave this place together in every sense of the word. Together in peace, together in hope, together in determination to change our community. Let the tears that we shed over these horrible events be replaced by tears of joy and comfort, shared with true friends and allies. I want to conclude with the words of a prayer written by a colleague of mine, Rabbi Jack Reamer. Now, in our Jewish tradition, there's a saying that if you quote something properly in the name of the person who originally said it, you bring redemption to the world. I wish it were that easy. But we can bring redemption to the world by our actions. Please listen to an excerpt from a prayer by Rabbi Jack Reamer entitled, "Now is the Time for Turning." To everything there is a season, and there is an appointed time for every purpose under heaven. Now is the time for turning. The leaves are beginning to turn from green to red to orange. The birds beginning to turn to storing their food for the winter. For leaves and birds, turning comes instinctively. But for us, turning does not come so easily. It takes an act of will for us to make a turn. But unless we turn, we will be trapped forever in yesterday's ways. So Lord, help us turn from callousness to sensitivity, from hostility to love, from pettiness to purpose, from envy to contentment, from carelessness to discipline, from fear to faith. Turn us around, O Lord, bring us back towards you. Revive our lives as at the beginning, and turn us unto each other, O Lord, for in isolation there is no life. May we turn to each other, and may we always stand together. Thank you for being here.
My name is Marie Duquette, and I am the pastor at King of Kings Lutheran Church here in Ann Arbor since last September. Timothy Snyder, the Levin Professor of History at Yale University and a member of the Committee on Conscience of the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum, just published this little book on tyranny, 20 lessons from the 20th century. In it, he adapts lessons from history to the circumstances in which we all find ourselves living today. I'd like to read you a couple excerpts from Lesson 4. The lesson is, take responsibility for the face of the world. The symbols of today enable the reality of tomorrow. Notice the swastikas and the other signs of hate. Do not look away and do not get used to them. Remove them yourself and set an example for others to do so. Later in the chapter, near the end, he tells this story. When the dissident thinker Václav Havel wrote The Power of the Powerless in 1978, he was explaining the continuity of an oppressive regime in whose goals and ideology few people still believed. He offered a parable of a greengrocer who places a sign reading, "Workers of the world unite," in his shop window. It is not that the man actually endorses the content of this quotation from the Communist Manifesto. He places the sign in his window so that he can withdraw into daily life without trouble from the authorities. When everyone else follows the same logic, the public sphere is covered with signs of loyalty, and resistance becomes unthinkable. As Havel put it, we have seen that the real meaning of the greengrocer's slogan has nothing to do with what the text of the slogan actually says. The real meaning is quite clear and generally comprehensible because the code is so familiar. The greengrocer declares his loyalty in the only way the regime is capable of hearing. That is, by accepting the prescribed ritual, by accepting appearances as reality, by accepting the given rules of the game, thus making it possible for the game to go on, for it to exist in the first place. And what happens, asked Havel, if no one plays the game? Today we're gathered in a skate park, a place where a game of sorts is allowed. It's a game of youth and agility and grace. It exercises one's body and mind, and I can only imagine in the euphoria of a perfect hard flip, one's spirit as well. What this is not is a place where we will allow a game of hate or intimidation or threat to take hold. Today, we gather to proclaim for ourselves and for our children. Not here, not ever, never again.
Hi, I'm Regina Fayut, and I'm the cantor at Temple Beth Emet. There are always people who want to tear our world apart with hate. But we're here because we will not let them. We're here because we know that acts of loving kindness can build our world. So I want to share this song with you. Olam Chesed Yibaneh. We will build this world in love. Olam Chesed Yibaneh. Yalalai, lalai, yalalai, lalai. Try that. Olam Chesed Yibaneh. Yalalai, lalai, yalalai, lalai. Olam Chesed Yibaneh. Yalalai, lalai, yalalai, lalai. Olam Chesed Yibaneh. Yalalai, lalai, yalalai, lalai. From the beginning. Olam Chesed Yibaneh. Yalalai, lalai, yalalai, lalai. Olam Chesed Yibaneh. Yalalai, lalai, yalalai, lalai. Olam Chesed Yibaneh. Yalalai, build this world from love. Yeah, la, 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 la. And if we build this world from love, yeah, la, 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 yeah, la, la, then God will build. Then God will build this world from love. Ya la 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 la, ya la la, olam chesed. Olam chesed yibaneh. Ya la la la, ya la la. Olam chesed yibaneh.
Good afternoon. I'm the Reverend Doug Watkins, and I am on the ministerial staff of the Unitarian Universalist congregation here in Ann Arbor. I am honored, humbled, and dismayed for the reason why I am here representing my congregation. This year, my congregation has been deeply afraid, disturbed, and in a state of activism in the midst of what's happening in our country. And so I feel it's important for us to be represented here. We have been a part of an ongoing set of spiritual disciplines this year in light of what's happening in the world around us. We pledge to continue that work with you and invite you to join us in these things. We invite you to join us in resistance, to not allow this to become the new normal of our country or of this world, to stand against bigotry and hatred, to understand the importance of civility that is essential to the survival of this world. We invite you to the spiritual discipline of resilience. We know from hundreds of years of work building diverse community that there is not a single point where you reach that diversity and it is perfection. It requires us to continue to do the hard work together. I honor the ways that you build your body, mind, and spirit. And finally, I invite you to join us in the spiritual discipline of revolution. There is not one single moment where revolution happens, but any time that we return to deeper beliefs within us and around us, to deeper cycles of truth, to the power of love and justice that lives in us. When Unitarian Universalists gather together, we light a flaming chalice. And that symbol comes from World War II, where our service committee did the work of helping people escape from the tyranny of the Nazis. And the flaming chalice was a symbol that this house is a safe place to come, and we will take care of you. And that chalice represents many things, but in my prayer and blessing for us all, may the light of wisdom remain. May the warmth of community be within us and around us. And may the fire of justice and love burn brightly, even in the midst of the longest night. Thank you for this time. Blessings on you all.
My name is Mary Eldridge, and I am not a faith leader. I'm a neighbor. And when I read that this was happening, some words jumped out on the paper, and I was asked to share them, and I am really grateful. My sons and I were talking about what happened here, what was painted, and my younger son, he's 18, he kind of shook his head and he said, they're probably not Nazis. They probably don't believe in anything. They're just trying to provoke. I know that's very possible. We can't see into the hearts of who did this. We can't reach back into their childhoods or go into their homes in order to understand why. There are reasons to be found there. But I can't know them, not those individuals, and not today. But what I can do, and what we can do, what we are doing, is be who we are, no matter who or what or why they are. We are individuals as well, and we are people who believe. We believe many different things in many ways, but we are here today because we believe in showing up. We believe in showing up in the face of anger, hate, hurtful stupidity, smirking immaturity, whatever it is that is ugly and seeks to divide and diminish. We need to respond with all the attention they are seeking, but flip it. We do this not because of them, but for them. For each other, for our greater community, for ourselves, and some of us for our God. Love is what we do, try to do. My faith teaches me that we do this no matter why or how it looks. In fact, as a Christian, I'm supposed to look a bit foolish to the rest of the world. I know my sons probably think I'm really faithful in that regard. I'm not a faith leader, I'm just a mom. This is my neighborhood. I love watching the activity here daily as I walk or drive by, and now I have this beautiful association with it. All of you here and us together with a message of love. Thank you.
Good afternoon. It is good to be here on holy ground. Good afternoon. It is good to be here with you on holy ground. Though some may try to desecrate what we feel is sacred, we have to keep moving forward. And in the memorable words of one Rodney King, why can't we just get along? Simple, but not easy. Profound, and yet we must share the planet one with another. I'm Reverend Marcus Bell. I'm one of the associate pastors at the Spring Hill Baptist Church in Farmington Hills. But I have been blessed with the honor and the privilege to be the chaplain for our veterans at the Ann Arbor VA. Those who have fought for our freedom, and freedom isn't cheap, giving us liberty, and yet liberty isn't free. I have no eloquent speeches or profound reflections to provide for you, but to say that we know how to do the right thing for the right reason. And that's simple, and that is very easy. Hate speech is not freedom of speech. Hate speech is hate speech. Bigotry and graffiti are not freedom expressions, but we can find ways that give hope, that expand love, and provide freedom for all of us. I have the words of a blind man to share with you. It talks about evil, really the lyric to a song. It says, evil, why have you engulfed so many hearts? Evil, why have you destroyed so many minds? Leaving room for darkness where lost dreams can hide. Evil, why have you infested our purest thoughts with hatred? Evil, why have you stolen so much love, leaving everyone's emotions lost and wandering free? Evil, why have you taken over God's children's eyes? Evil, before they could really grow to see that your way is not the way to make life what it should be. Evil, why have you destroyed so much of this doggone world? evil. Oh, why have you broken up so many homes, leaving everyone's emotions lost and wandering free? The easiest thing to do is to do nothing, to let it pass, to let it go unnoticed, to ignore it. And yet, if we muster up that which is in us, all of the love, all of the truth, all of the purity, then we can go forward in liberty, freedom, and love from this day forward. Amen.
Hello, friends. That means God is all glorious. I heard one of my brethren say to me, he was very happy to see me here. I am a member of the Baha'i Faith of Ann Arbor, and we don't have clergy as such. Every member is supposed to teach the faith and live the life of a Baha'i. I am going to offer to you a prayer from our faith that was written for America, the American democracy. It's called A Prayer for America. O thou kind Lord, this gathering is turning to thee. These hearts are radiant with thy love. These minds and spirits are exhilarated by the message of thy glad tidings. O God, let this American democracy become glorious in spiritual degrees, even as it has aspired to material degrees, and render this just government victorious. Confirm this revered nation to upraise the standards of the oneness of humanity, to promulgate the most great peace, to become thereby most glorious and praiseworthy among all the nations of the world. O God, this American nation is worthy of thy favors and is deserving of thy mercy. Make it precious and near to thee through thy bounty and bestowals. Thank you very much. Thank you to each of you who shared your wisdom and your words and song and reflections. And now we're just going to take a few more. And now we are going to take a few moments to celebrate us and that we are here, and the love and the unity and the compassion and the joy of who we are as this community. So there will be some music and song before we move into what next steps. In dangerous times, it's more important than ever that we all find our courage, that we hold tight to our courage and our love and each other. Alone we're defenseless. Together we can be strong. And this song that we're going to sing, and we hope that you'll all join in with us, is to encourage us all that we can stand together and that we can be strong. One world, we are one world, one voice, one heart beating. Okay? We are one world, one voice, one heart beating. We are one world, one voice, one heart beating. We are one world, one voice, one heart beating. We are one world, one voice, one heart beating. We are one
that's here. Everybody living in this world, one heart beating. Everybody living in this world, everybody's got a voice that's here. Everybody living in this world, one heart beating. We are one. Everybody living in this world, one. Everybody's got a voice that's here. We are one. Everybody living on this world, one heart beating. We are one world, one world, one heart beating. We are one world, one world, one heart beating. Everybody living on this world, everybody's got a voice that's here. Everybody living on this world, one heart beating. We are one world, everybody got one heart beating. Everybody got one world, one heart beating. Everybody got one world, everybody got one heart beating. Everybody got one world, one heart beating. Everybody got one world, everybody got one heart beating. Everybody got one world, one heart beating. Everybody got one world, everybody got one heart beating. Everybody got one world, one heart beating. Everybody got one world, everybody got one heart beating. Everybody got one world, one heart beating. Everybody got one world, everybody got one heart beating. Everybody got one world, one heart beating. Everybody got one world, everybody got one heart beating. Everybody got one world, one heart beating. Everybody's got a voice that's here. Everybody living on this world, one heart beating. Everybody living on this world, everybody got a voice that's here. Everybody living on this world, one heart beating.
Hi, I'm Marlena Studer. I am so happy to see this uplifting sea of people here in support of building love in our community. And it is truly uplifting to me. I believe that peace starts in my heart, but my heart is not silent. Martin Luther King said that our lives begin to end the day that we become silent about things that matter. And you all are here to show that that is not going to happen in this community. So it's very uplifting. We're going to build one heart at a time, peace that is stronger, peace that is built from love. So we're going to sing, and I hope we will have you joining in with us. Peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean in my soul. soul. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got love like a river. Let me hear you. I've got love like a river in my soul. I've got love like a river. I've got love like a river. I've got love like a river in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. And I've got love like the ocean. I've got love like the ocean. I've got love like the ocean in my soul. I've got love like the ocean. I've got love like the ocean. I've got love like the ocean in my soul. Thank you all. We have one more tune we'd love to have you join in on. We have a final song we'd like you to join in on, all about peace. Peace, salam, shalom are the words. Very simple, but very powerful. So please join us. Peace, salam, shalom. 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 Peace, Shalom, peace, salam, shalom. Thank you for the music and the voices and the raising of our hearts.
You gotta eat the microphone.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Great. All right. So, what next? Where do we go? What do we want to do? What kind of action do we want to take? Before we take action, it's so important that we reflect and hear from voices of people who are living and experiencing and on the receptive side of the intolerance, the hate, and the evil. So what I would like to do now is invite Rabbi Rob Dobberson back up, as well as Reverend Marcus Bell, to just personally not speak for their communities clearly, but to just give us a personal moment of reflection of what they experience might be helpful. And then we are going to hear from Chuck Warpahowski, the director of the Interfaith Council for Peace and Justice, and on the City Council, to talk about what are some known, well-run, action-oriented programs that we can get involved in to move on. If there are other organizations that are represented here that would just like to give a shout out, please let me know and raise your hand, and we'll bring that to the table too. Thank you.
These days have been very troubling for our Jewish community. I say that knowing full well that in general, we live in peace, we live in comfort. We know that we are part of a community and the community knows us and we know them and we are part altogether of the community. But it's events like this and with the backdrop of things happening not only here in the country but in our world that makes it scary for us and for our children. Each of us responds in different ways, but what we all need to know is that this community is here for all of us, not just for us, but for all of us. There's a time where we are the ones who comfort and encourage. There are times where we are the ones who receive the comfort and the encouragement and the support. That's very important to know, and it's very important to feel. And I can tell by all the people gathered here today that you are not only with us, but you're with all of the communities that are endangered, that you feel what we feel, you sense how important it is to feel that comfort. All that I can say about what we need to do is get to know each other better and to recognize the fact that as much as we are part of a community, sometimes we're off by ourselves and sometimes we're in different places. We need times to be by ourselves or at least in our own communities, but there's an overall need for us all to build a community together. And at moments like this, to be gratified by the numbers of people who are here, that's the most important thing. So thank you.
You sure have a wonderful way of welcoming folks with claps and accolades, and that is comforting to know that I can feel safe in such a place as this, where I know that I'm a minority and you know that I'm a minority in the crowd. And yet, I think we know what truth looks like. I think we know what justice feels like. I think we know what discrimination feels like, whether it be racial or whether it be ethnic or whether it be according to someone's religion or gender or any of those other things that we claim that divide us. And yet, the last time I checked, there is but one race. That's the human race. And so I thank you for being here. As an African American male, on so many fronts, I am the minority. And yet when I landed at the Ann Arbor VA, I was welcomed. I was embraced. And I rose to be the lead chaplain, not just one of the chaplains on the floor. And that speaks to the spirit of what Ann Arbor really is about and what it is to be an Ann Arborian. Did I? Okay. Ann Arborite? Okay. Having grown up in the inner city of Detroit, I remember the '67 riot.
Wow.
It was terrible. It took a city 50, 60 years to recover from that. And as I go to the downtown area, and I see all ethnicities and all colors and all age groups congregating in the city of Detroit, which was a no man's land for so long. It just does my heart well. And it does my heart well to be welcomed here in Ann Arbor, just to share a few words from the heart. I think that God knows what love is, because God is indeed love. And those of us who call ourselves or say to ourselves that we are his children, we ought to take on his attributes. He casts no man, no woman, no boy, no child out, but embraces all. And even those who seem unembraceable, he woos them with his love and his kindness. That's the only way that we are going to get people to move and gravitate towards us, is by loving them into relationship. We can't coerce them into relationship. We can't browbeat them into relationship. And yet relationship is the hardest thing, it seems, for us to do, even with our families, even with our spouses, even with our children. Relationship is hard work. But if we roll up our sleeves, if we get focused on making the main thing, and keeping it the main thing, and that is that we are all God's creation. And this is a shared planet. No room for bigotry, no room for discrimination and prejudice. It's just not, we should have grown beyond that. In what I would say is 6,000 years on the planet. I don't know how long it took us to divide, but we should have gotten beyond that. And if we don't learn anything from the LA riots and from the Detroit riots and from Charlottesville, if we don't learn, we will be doomed to live it over and over and over again. God bless you, God keep you, God watch over you in your coming in and in your going out. God keep you in his keeping care according to his perfect will, his power, and his plan. Amen.
My name is Chuck Orpahusky. I serve as the director of the Interfaith Council for Peace and Justice. I also serve on Ann Arbor City Council. I want to thank Susan, the organizers of today's event, all the faith and clergy leaders who are on stage, all of you who are in the audience, all of you in the audience. So I want to thank State Representative Yusuf Rabi, who's here today, and U.S. Representative Debbie Dingell, who was here earlier but had to move on. My job is to move us from the reflective period of the discussion to the action-oriented period of the discussion. But as we do that, I want to say a little bit about my story. As a young child, I remember reading the Bible, as we grew up in a Christian home, and reading Blessed Be the Peacemakers, reading the Peace Prayer of St. Francis, Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace. But then I looked at my own heart. And I saw a lot of violence there. And wrestling with that is what made me into a pacifist, because I see the violence in my own heart. And as I looked at what I was taught in terms of treating men and women fairly and equally, I saw there was a lot of misogyny in my own heart. And that's what made me into a feminist, was wrestling with that, with the demons in myself. My parents told me to treat people equally based on race, but then I saw that I had bias within my own heart. And that's what made me into a racial justice worker, was wrestling with that own, these internal demons. So as we take this work and we begin to say, what is the action? The action is not just how do we confront a couple of bigots who show up in the middle of the night with spray cans. Part of the work is our own internal work on how do we wrestle with and face and take action around the biases and the injustices and the violences that are in ourselves. I'm glad that got applause. I never know how that sounds going on. But it's deeper than that. It's deeper than that. Because it spreads, right? For me, standing here as a white, straight, cisgender, male, college-educated, middle-class guy, I recognize that all of these things play out and they favor some and they disfavor others, right? When my daughter goes to school in a week, goes back to Ann Arbor Public Schools, she's going to get more per pupil funding from the state of Michigan than a first grader in Ypsilanti Community Schools. When I take my son into the library to look at comic books or into the bookstore, he sees a lot of superheroes that look like him. Light-skinned, male. He doesn't see a lot that not every kid gets that same experience. Right? When I have to pee, I can find a place to pee. And if I get pulled over, I'm less likely to be asked to step out of the car for the officer to search it. So as we look at not just our own internal biases and prejudices and violence, we've also got to look at how these roll up and affect our whole community in terms of structures and policies and practices. I don't think any of us are choosing. I don't think anybody here is choosing, but are still affecting us. And as we think about our actions, that's the context where we have to think about it. Not just a few people who come out in the middle of the night with spray cans, but our own internal lives and how we live and the structures that we find ourselves in and how to make our own lives and the communities we live more just, more fair, and more peaceful. There are a lot of things we can all do in our own lives. Some of it I see a lot of parents here. Some of it's as simple as looking as when you're choosing those books, you're finding the ones that have the female superheroes of color. Princess, if you're a comic book fan, Princess is awesome. I love it now. But in terms of structuring that as a community thing, I want to share a couple of opportunities that Interfaith Council for Peace and Justice offers you, and then we'll open it up for some more community discussion. Part of it is doing that internal work. What is your option? So with Interfaith Council for Peace and Justice, we work with Ypsilanti District Library to do a regular racial justice film series. We also have an ongoing racial justice book club where it's a chance to come together and really delve into these issues of both personal and structural racial justice. In addition to understanding the issues, it's also important to understand the skills to take action. So we also offer a bystander intervention training so that when you see that inappropriate action or you hear that inappropriate comment or you see somebody getting hassled by their identity, what are the skills? Can you practice those so that you're able to respond? We offer those trainings. We also offer ongoing community organizing, brown bags, skills building sessions so that you can learn some of those capacities for taking actions on the policy level. And then there are a couple of initiatives that we're involved with locally on that policy issue. One is upcoming this November. The County Board of Commissioners has put on a millage that will help improve mental health care for the people who need it most. And here in Ann Arbor, it's also going to help us expand our funding for affordable housing. There's a lot else into that. Take more time than we spend, but getting involved with that is one way to be involved. And so some people, with some petitions, there's a redistricting petition that just launched to make our votes count and will count fairly. So if somebody's got those petitions, make sure you make noise and get people to sign them today. And And then also within Interfaith Council for Peace and Justice, we've got teams that are going out to the different local police agencies in the county to make specific recommendations. Here are some of the specific policies we'd like to see. First of all, to find out what's happening in Pittsfield Township, in Saline, in Chelsea, across in Ann Arbor, to overcome that lack of understanding that many of us have, but then make some specific recommendations that are backed up by fact, backed up by policies and practices that the best law enforcement agencies in the country are already taking on. These are some of the things that we're doing right now. You can learn more about it at our website, icpj.org. I also want to make one more ask of you, and this is something that's been on my heart, but I don't know if I've got the team, if I've got the crew with me to make it happen. What we've done today in terms of service and prayer and reflection has been incredible. The energy we have, this is really positive. I also have a feeling that before the weather turns cold, this would be a great spot for a party. This would be a great spot for a Skate Against Hate event where we could celebrate the amazing diverse community that uses this. We can lift up the different music and voices and skaters that are doing this, and we can also build in how's the chance in most of the people I've talked to so far I've already known. Can we build in some of that ways to get people to talk to people they don't already know? Can we bring in some of our community leaders, our community leaders to have some education about how race and gender and issues are coming in? Can we raise funds for Jim Toy Center after the vandalism at the Arbor? Can we raise funds for Peace Neighborhood Center down the road so the communities on the ground that are doing the work? Of course, I want to raise funds for ICBJ too, but that's how it goes. So this is something that's on my heart, but I don't know if I've got the crew. So if you think this is something that you want to step up and help me make happen, reach out to me after we close, grab me, get in touch with me through the website, icpj.org, send me an email, chuck@icpj.org, and tell me you want to be part of it. If we're going to do it, we need to move fast. So those are some things that are on my agenda and my heart, and I'm going to let turn it back over to Susan to open up the committee's discussion.
We want to acknowledge that we are running along and we are almost finished. We have one more prayer after this, and I know people have to leave and go home for dinner. Is there any organization that's here that wants to give a shout out for action? We have a couple more things to raise for you. Yes.
And as she's coming up, I'll let you all know that on September 24th at 1 o'clock at the Interfaith Center for Spiritual Growth, we'll have the Washtenaw County Black Caucus leading an uncomfortable conversation for people of all races to get together and talk about race in an uncomfortable yet honest and loving way. So please join.
And the Interfaith Roundtable, every Thursday in the month of October, we'll be having a kind of a workshop class called Dialogue Across Our Difference, how to have conversations that matter, and using core principles that we all hold in our heart as a backdrop to doing some deep listening and practicing having these conversations that are a challenge for us in today's world.
I just said I'm going to come to this one because I'm short. My name is Renee Roederer. I'm a community chaplain here in Ann Arbor, connected to Michigan Nuns and Duns and Canterbury House. And I want to speak just for a moment about how some of these horrible movements toward white supremacy are happening at the University of Michigan. And none of this is to alarm anyone, but it is to let you know some of the things that have been going on there, particularly in the last year. Some of you may know that last September, and then again in October, and then more and more throughout the year, the University of Michigan was flyered by some of the same kinds of white supremacy groups that showed up in Charlottesville. And these flyers that have ended up on campus, they're certainly there to intimidate students of color and to say really horrible things, but they're also there as propaganda to white students. It's just really important that we are having these kinds of conversations. And so I want to let you know that there has been some really tremendous organizing going on the ground at the University of Michigan for the last year, and that's going to continue to happen, and there are a number of groups that are going to continue to need your support. And so I want to invite you, if you have a smartphone, to just get that out and type down some groups I'm going to name. Maybe later you can go back on Facebook and like these groups so you can see some of the things that are happening, and when there are calls to action, you can know where to show up.
First of all, there's a student group on campus called Students for Justice, and the floor is a number 4. Also, do you know about WICR? WICR stands for, yes, Washtenaw Interfaith Coalition for Immigrant Rights. And I am telling you, WICR is doing important work and needs more support and needs more financial support. One of the things that's very challenging right now when immigrants face detainment or deportation is that there is no law for public defenders for immigrants. And so people need, and there's no pro bono services for that here in Ann Arbor, so people need legal aid. And there are ways to, oh, I hear that I'm, thank you for that. Okay, thank you for that. But there are always more funds needed to support this group and also WICR and others that are doing work on the ground. I would also encourage you to check out the Michigan Indigenous Action Collective. This is a group of indigenous people that are working for indigenous rights here. And also the Collective Against White Supremacy, CAWS, C-A-W-S. And I'm also connected to them, so I can tell you a little bit more about that if you have more questions. But please check out these groups and just please be mindful that this is happening. Charlottesville really shook me, and of course all of you for a number of reasons. But to sort of see some of the same groups come out and to know that some of these kinds of groups have been targeting us too in a different way is really important. So thank you for hearing that, and I'm just very grateful that you're all here. Thank you.
Thank you to those who shared from their heart, from their experience, and from their work. That's just the tip of the iceberg of ways to get involved. I'd like to leave you with the thought that people sitting here are connected in many different ways, in the community, within their faith tradition, within the county, and within the state. So look around and network. Contact the Interfaith Council for Peace and Justice. Contact the organizations you heard. Contact the Interfaith Center for Spiritual Growth. Contact the Interfaith Roundtable. We can all help direct you, and we would all love to have your presence and membership. So we'd like to close this with a prayer.
Look around you.
Can you hear the tones of wisdom,
compassion,
and heartfelt concern?
Can you see beyond the symbols and the graffiti and the stereotypes?
To a common heart that longs for peace, community, and respect.
We are an alliance of people from across the county.
And we come together to address the deep and divisive issues and concerns that we're facing in our community.
And in our world today. We come together to help eradicate misconceptions,
misinformation, and prejudice from across our landscape.
This is a time of distrust and deep questioning.
So let's all work together to create a culture of understanding and inclusion
among all people interested in exploring the deeper meanings of life.
Through mutuality, through real dialogue, and through sharing our wisdom,
we can create safe spaces where we can listen and learn from each other.
And thus grow and flower as the loving beings we are.
Did you hear those tones of wisdom,
compassion,
and sincere concern?
Today we came together to stand together.
Standing strong. This hour has been enriched by our coming together.
Rich in the wisdom of words, music, and shared experiences.
Feeding both our personal and community spirits of
hope, generosity, and mutuality.
Thanks for taking a loving stand
for everyone.
We leave with the following question.
How will you share your wisdom, your compassion, and your sincere caring with your neighbor? Let's go in peace.
Let's go in peace. Thank you.
Sure. Sure.
And
Okay,
a
we're
request
gonna-
for singers to sing We Shall Overcome.
Thank you to everybody who made this possible, for those who spoke, for those who attended, for those in the community who came out, and for the skaters who skated in our background. So, an impromptu final song.
Overcome, we shall overcome, we shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe that we shall overcome someday.
We shall live in peace. Huh?
We shall live in peace. We shall live in peace. We shall live in peace someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe that we shall live in peace someday.
We are not afraid.
We are not afraid. We are not afraid. We are not afraid to stay. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe that we are not afraid someday.
The whole wide world around.
The whole wide world around, the whole wide world around, the whole wide world around someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe that we shall overcome someday. Let's walk hand in hand. Let's walk hand